Alright, it's June 13th, 2018. I have purchased the following equipment. This is an ADX30 American Rotary phase converter. I got this used GE 30 kVA transformer. And I'm going to make 230 turn into 483 phase. Before I get started, I wanted to tell you that this is not by any means a how-to video. This is more of a how not to video. This is just documentation of my experiments. Don't copy anything you see here. I've done everything wrong. No. 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 Yeah, don't do anything you see me do. Anyway. So I got 30 amp plug over there, 30 amp breaker. And this is a test setup, a dry run for my my shop. I'm going to install this in my shop, and it's going to be on a 125 amp breaker, and all these wires will be the proper gauge instead of this chicken shit you see here. I got my fire extinguisher. I got my 30 amp breaker. I'm good to go. But I have a clue what I'm doing. Alright, so I've made this list here because the purpose of this experiment is to get some information, some dirty details about the performance of this thing that American Rotary doesn't, I mean, they dance around with the data and they give you some of it, but it's not very consistent, and it's just not on the level that I was wanting. It's kind of dumbed down. So we're gonna measure some values and see. So this is my load right here. We'll get to that last. Just a brand new 3 horsepower Toshiba 480 volt motor. So the first test is going to be super scientific. So here's the switch right here. I want you to watch this light when I turn the switch on. Whoa! Dang! Alright, let's try that again and collect a little bit of data from it. So I got my amp clamp set to min-max. I got it on the L1 coming in. Here's my supply, goes to L1, L2. So dang! So 6.5 running amps. Actually, that keeps climbing. Let's see where it stops. So the max was 282. It looks like we're gonna steady out here about 9 amps. Sorry, I had the meter on average, that's why it kept climbing. So steady state amps, 12.1. Got my multimeter probes on L1 and L2. 225 volts. Alright, now I've set up the scope on the output of the rotary phase converter. The red probe is L1 to L2. The blue probe is L2 to L3. And the green probe is L3 back to L1. So the red probe is the incoming 240 single phase, and we have two traces on top of each other that are 180 degrees out of phase. Those are your other two legs, which are referenced to that generated phase. And I'm not sure why we have a trace there at all. I assume it's got something to do with these caps. I'm not sure how all this works, but yeah, we got something there, and it's 180 degrees out of phase. It's probably just a phantom voltage. If we were to put a load on it on the single phase right now, that would probably go away. Let's see. I'll turn on this transformer. What happened? I tripped the breaker. That's a first for today. So without turning on the transformer again, let's just turn it on and see what happens. Alright, now we have three phase, and that third phase is looking kind of wonky. That's not exactly a sine wave, is it? I'm not sure. I mean, I guess that'll work. I'll take it. Let's see what a decent multimeter has to say about the RMS voltages of these three phases. L1, L2, 224 volts. L2, L3, 230 volts. L3, L1, 229. Alright, let's see what happens if we turn on this transformer now. Actually, let's measure the inrush while we do it. Oh, should we measure it on the three phase or the single phase? Let's go with the single phase. Min max. Okay. Transformer in 3, 2, 1. Ew! What happened to my wavies? 39 amps max. So 20 amps continuous, 21 on a single phase. Now what are we measuring on the three phase? God dang it. Three phase. 7.4. 5.6 amps. And see if I can get this in there without electrocuting myself. 8.1. Alright, I want to see what the voltage looks like on the output. Alright, hang on a second. Those are weird waves, but I've seen worse. Let's see, 500 volts per division. I'm not going to do the math. Let's put a multimeter on it. L1 to L2, 516 volts. L2, L3, 520 volts. L1, L3, 517 volts. So it's worth noting that this is a 208 volt transformer, not a 240 volt transformer. 208 120. So it should technically not be suitable for my purposes. However, look at all these taps it has. It's got taps all the way down to 432 volts. That's cool. I think I can make that work. Let's see. Right now we're at that tap right there, about the third one down, which is the 480 volt tap. Hang on while I swap the taps. Alright, taps have been changed down to the bottom tap, the 432 volt tap. Let's see what happens now. Transformer disconnect, engage. Yeah, 467. Not bad at all. Waves are still funky though. Whatever. You know, I'm noticing now these two waves, the red and the blue, they have this same sort of notch knocked out of them, and then this third wave is sort of got the opposite thing going on. It's probably got something to do with the capacitors or whatever's generating that third phase. So I did some math too. Let's check out the math. So the reason why I'm getting away with this 208 volt transformer is because if you remember back when I measured the incoming voltage, it was like 220 or 240, which is below the national service nominal voltage. It should be 240. So with the taps as I had them before I just now changed them, if I were to apply 240 to that, I'd get 553 volts. But with 220, I only got 508, which is pretty close to what I measured. Now, after moving the taps to 432 volts, with a 240 supply, I'd be at 498. But with a 220 supply, I'd be at 456. 467, yeah, we're pretty close. So, if I went up to 240, which I will in the new shop, it's got its own service and it's pretty stout. It's sitting at 240. The service I have in this building comes from a series of unorthodox and unthinkable splits, and it's not good. Not good at all. I didn't do it. It needs to be fixed before something burns down. But that's why my voltage is so low. I got 220 here. I'm sure all the neighbors have 240. I've got 240 out in my shop. But the 220 here is what lends to the workable voltage. If I went up to 240, which I will, I ought to get 498, which is within the national standard of plus or minus 5%. I can be anywhere from 456 to 504. So actually, this transformer should work either in here or in the shop without making any tap changes. See, I was worried that being a 208 volt transformer, I was going to have to splice into these windings here and make my own new tap. Alright, now let's see what happens when I kick on this motor. Measure the single phase amps again. Oh, our amps went up a little bit. 22 amps on the single phase. Just running this transformer. Alright, let's see what. Turn the transformer off. 12 amps. $22. The transformer has a pretty high quiescent current, which I guess makes sense being a 30 kVA transformer. But whatever. Let's see what happens when we min-max and kick on the load motor. 3 horsepower Toshiba. Woohoo! Spinny. Let's see. 61. $28 amps. Running with the motor on. Back to 23. Back to 28. Let's check out the current on each phase. I'm gonna find a better place to do this. I'm scared. I'm scared of the transformer. Oh, god dang it. Alright. 10.7, 11, and 13. Why higher on that leg? It must be that wonky leg. Yeah, that must be that pointy bastard. Why is it like that? I can't explain that. Whatever. It's working. It is working. Now, did I miss any data that I wanted to collect? Yeah, all kinds of data. Whatever. Let me see. This is what I really care about. Now what the shit? I just... Oh, wrong one. Okay. Single phase amps. 28 amps. $28 amps equates to an 11 amp 3-phase load. Oh, now you want to be normal. Now you want to be normal. What the shit? Alright. Screw it. Let's go with that. So what I wanted to know was the ratio between input amps and output amps for this unit. And I have that answer now. So the reason why my clamp meter started to give me consistent data over here is because I accidentally hit the hold button. But we actually have 10.6, 10.7, and 12.4 amps for an average of 11.233. Now, the factor between single phase and 3-phase is a 1.73. That's the square root of 3. So if I take that 3-phase amp average and I multiply it by 1.73, that should give me the single phase amps. I get 19.4, which does not match with the 29 amps that I measured. I'm not sure why, but it looks like I'm going to use every bit of that 125 amp single phase breaker